What if I told you there was a machine that killed over 30,000 people in the US every single year? Would you want to ban this machine? Well, guess what? It's real. And it's called
the Killbot 5000! You're next!
No, I'm kidding. The deadly machine I'm talking about is the car. You may gasp now. And while the danger may be the worst thing about cars, it's definitely not the only bad thing about them. Because here's the thing, driving sucks. It's boring, stressful, annoying, and scary all at the same time. Boring because you have to constantly pay attention to the road. Stressful because of the million little things that can happen during a drive, which is why driving is responsible for 50% of all middle finger flip-offs and 90% of all murder fantasies, according to the Department of Very Real Statistics. Driving is like a constant IV drip of stress. Other people driving poorly, cutting you off, not merging correctly, tailgating even though you're going 10 miles per hour over the speed limit, not using their turn signals, forgetting to turn off their turn signals, driving slow in the passing lane, driving too slowly but not letting you pass when you try to get around them, not letting you merge, not following the correct order at a four-way stop, pulling out in front of you when it's clearly not safe to, blocking intersections, drifting into your lane, sitting at super long lights, trying to catch lights before they turn red, or those days when the universe has turned against you and you somehow catch every single freaking red light, having to make a dangerous turn in front of oncoming traffic, and you better time it correctly or else you might die. But you can't even see the oncoming traffic because there's a giant truck in front of you waiting to turn the opposite direction and it's blocking your view. And while you're wondering if this is going to be your last day on earth, there's 4 cars behind you honking at you to go. So you just have to freaking go for it and hope for the best. And then a driver who's making the same turn from the opposite direction honks at you and gives you the finger, even though they have a yield sign and you're following the rules of the road correctly. Don't get mad at me. You have a yield sign. I have the right of way. I have the right of way. Then you finally get to your destination and you have to skulk around the parking lot trying to find a place to park because it's so packed that you finally do find a spot and someone else takes it first. Later on, when you come back out to the parking lot, you see that the side of your car has a big scratch. You pull out of a parking space hoping that you don't have an accident with another car driving by. Then on the way home, you want to roll down the windows and enjoy some fresh air, but the exhaust from the truck in front of you is giving you black lung disease, and little pieces of gravel are flying out of the bed of the truck, cracking your windshield. Hey, cover it better! Then you drive over a pothole and you hear a loud clunk and you wonder if your car got damaged. Then you see a dead dog on the side of the road that got hit by a car and now you're traumatized because you love dogs. You'll forget about it by tomorrow morning until you drive by it again and get sad all over again. Then you hit a surprise traffic jam caused by a car accident that was totally preventable, and now it's going to take an extra 20 minutes to get home, and now you just have to sit there surrounded by the grating noise of traffic. And just as you start daydreaming about the weekend, the check engine light comes on and you realize that your weekend is going to be spent at the auto shop and you're $2,000 in the hole. Then you get back home and now you're in a bad mood because of all that stuff you had to deal with, and your significant other is like, how was your day? And you go, everyone's a fucking idiot! I hate people! I hate you! Driving takes years off of your life, either slowly through stress or instantly in an accident. So in this episode of my series, Talking Topics, I want to rant a bit about how much it sucks to need a car and how this really isn't the way it has to be. It's not just driving itself that sucks. Owning a car is a hassle. First, there's the cost. The average cost of owning a car in the US is almost $900 per month. Not only is there the cost of buying or leasing the car itself, but you've also got gas, maintenance, repairs, insurance, registration, depreciation, and then your tax dollars have to go towards building roads, maintaining roads, traffic lights, cameras, parking lots, emergency services for car accidents. That stuff is expensive. Did you know a traffic light can cost up to $500,000? Man, I gotta get into the traffic light business. And then there's all the maintenance that comes with owning a car. Owning a car is kind of like having a kid. You gotta stop periodically at a gas station so the car can feed when it starts getting hungry. Time for the little fella to eat. And then, uh-oh, someone needs an oil change. This oil is dirty. And maybe after changing the oil, you can head to the car wash for bath time. Then you have to take your car to the car doctor to get its regular checkups. Tires need to be rotated and replaced. Brake pads need to be replaced. Air filters need to be replaced. Fluids need to be refilled. And of course, your car will eventually need repairs, sometimes through no fault of your own. Another driver's poorly secured cargo could fly off and hit your car. A tree could fall in your car while it's parked. And now you're really screwed because who knows how long the repairs will take. Your car might even have to have a sleepover at the doctor's office. This analogy isn't totally making sense, but stay with me. So now you don't have access to what might be your only viable mode of transportation, unless you can pony up the money for an expensive rideshare on top of the money that you're already spending to fix the car. And you gotta hope that the mechanic at the auto shop isn't screwing you over, because I don't know anything about cars, except that they go vroom, and I'm not even 100% sure about that. So a mechanic could just be making stuff up. I wouldn't even know. Yeah, we discovered that your car's flux capacitor had too many Zendayas, so we had to replace it. That's gonna be an extra $700. I know you're pulling one over on me, you slime ball. And that's not directed at the guy in this photo. He's not a real mechanic. He's just a stock photography model. I'm sure he's a very nice person. Actually, I don't know that. Why do I assume he's nice? I don't know this man. He could be a total piece of crap. Maybe he's mean to his wife and makes creepy comments to young girls. Hey, screw you, pervert! And when are you gonna take your car in to get all these repairs and maintenance done? Why, on one of your precious few days off work, of course. When else? And if you need to file an insurance claim for the repairs, you better hope that the insurance company is actually willing to cover the costs, because I don't know if you've heard, but the whole business model of insurance is based on them paying as little as possible. You also always have to think about parking, which is extra annoying if you're going to some place where there's limited parking. First, you gotta find a place to park. Sometimes you gotta do that thing where you stalk a person as they walk back to their car. And as you pull into the parking spot, you gotta hope that you don't scrape or bump another car. And then there's parallel parking. I don't know if it's more annoying trying to parallel park or being stuck behind someone else while they're trying to parallel park. Why are cities designed to force people to parallel park? It's so annoying that we have to do this. Hey, city planners, you like parallel things? Here's something parallel for you. Then you gotta worry about your car's cosmetic condition. All the random scratches, dents, and cracks while your car is parked all by itself. It might get scratches or dents from other cars or from shopping carts. Sometimes they show up seemingly out of nowhere and you're like, oh no, how'd you get this scratch? Where did this come from? Criminals could break in and steal stuff or steal parts of the car itself. Catalytic converter thefts have been out of control recently. It's just so annoying how much you have to worry about your car. Oh, I hope my car's gonna be okay. My sweet little baby car. And you know what else sucks about driving? I don't get to use my favorite Raycon earbuds. You know, even though I'm not in school anymore, back to school shopping is still exciting to me. It brings me back to being a young lad and feeling like there was an entire school year of possibilities ahead of me and picking out the essential items that I was gonna be using every day. And an absolute must-have for me this fall is Raycon's best-selling everyday earbuds. The everyday earbuds have active ergonomic design so they sit completely flush in your ear, active noise cancellation so you can listen without distractions, and multi-point connectivity so you can pair with 2 devices at once. And the sound quality rivals some of the biggest names in the audio biz. You can choose from a wide variety of colors to match your new backpack, your new notebook, or maybe your new hair color. Personally, I prefer classic black. The everyday earbuds have a 32-hour battery life and a new quick charge function that gives 90 minutes of battery with just 10 minutes of charging, which is a lifesaver if you're like me and you frequently forget to recharge your earbuds until you're about to head out the door. The everyday earbuds also have an awareness mode so you can listen to music while still hearing the calming sounds of the world around you. Or not. It's up to you. And you get all of this at an affordable price. My everyday earbuds are so discreet, snug, and comfortable that I use them all the time, whether I'm walking to the store, editing, or exercising. And thank goodness they're sweat resistant because boy do I sweat when I'm exercising. So if you want to get a pair of dope earbuds and support my channel at the same time, click the link in the description box or go to buyraycon.com/McBasin to get 20 to 40% off your Raycon purchase. Thank you to Raycon for sponsoring this video. Back to the video. Also, your car could just break down anywhere, leaving you stranded, including on a busy highway where your only option is to pull off to the side where cars are whizzing by you 4 feet away at 80 miles per hour. And on top of all that, driving is dangerous. There's 30 to 40,000 motor vehicle fatalities in the US every year, and the motor vehicles in question, well, they're not mopeds. And that's just the people who died. That doesn't include all the car accidents where people didn't die, which was over 6 million in 2021. And you know what the real kick in the dick of it all is? Even if you're a good driver, you could still get into an accident. You could be the safest, most responsible driver in the world, and I am, but you have to share the road with everybody, and you can't control what they do. And unfortunately, when it comes to good driving versus bad driving usually wins. It's not like if you earn enough good driver points, then you get a force field around your car. The number of people I've seen using their phones while driving is insane. And I don't mean like a quick look at the phone and then back at the road. I mean straight up this. Sometimes not even this, sometimes this. They don't even have a hand on the steering wheel, just... Oh, what the... I saw a guy drive straight through a red light once because he was on his phone, and not like rushing to catch the light before it changed, just casually driving through a light that had been red for like 15 seconds. I was approaching the intersection and all I saw was this. Just completely checked out. And I saw a guy online once defending the fact that he used his phone while driving, and his defense was this. Statistically, they say, the overall odds of you being in a car accident is 1 in 366 for every 1,000 miles you drive. So he was arguing that the chances of him getting into a car accident were only 1 in 366, and therefore it was safe for him to use his phone while he was driving. Hey dude, that's not how that works. You think if I start driving a car and I close my eyes, my chances of getting into a car accident are only 1 in 366? Your personal odds of getting into a car accident obviously go up if you're distracted while driving. I mean, clearly this guy didn't pay attention in statistics class. Why would he pay attention to the road? Folks, these people are out there. operating motor vehicles. You could die because some idiot didn't want to wait 20 minutes to watch a TikTok of an old man twerking. Let me ask you something. Do you think the average person is dumb? If you're an American, your answer to that question is probably yes. Well, now consider the fact that all these dumb people are driving 2-ton death machines and you have to share the road with them. Man, you ever ride with a bad driver? Holy crap, that's a nightmare. Like, you don't want to be rude or criticize their driving skills, so you're just sitting there like, hey man, maybe drive better? Maybe drive better. Maybe drive better? And in addition to the idiots, you also have the maniacs, the people who apparently learned how to drive from playing Mario Kart. I would sometimes pull up next to these cars just to look in and see if it was actually a human being inside the car, and not, as I usually suspected, 3 chimpanzees fighting over a banana. We've probably all seen the drivers who will endanger everyone around them just so they can get to their destination 2 minutes faster. Dude, sometimes you see multiple of these maniacs in one day, and it's like, is it the purge today? What's going on? Laws are still in effect, right? Then you have the drivers who pull out guns in road rage incidents, because in America, anyone can keep a little death machine inside of their big death machine. And it turns out that drivers who keep guns in their car, surprisingly, don't tend to be the most level-headed people. And then there's the drivers who are genuinely trying to drive well, but occasionally mess up. Because even if you're a good driver, you might just have an off day. But you can't have an off day when you're driving. An off day can become your last day. There's actually a big increase in traffic fatalities the week following daylight savings time. Something as simple as a leap forward 1 hour could be a leap forward to the end of your life. That's all it takes, a bad night of sleep. And 20% of crashes are just weather related. You're way more likely to die in a car accident just because it's raining. They should put that in weather forecasts. And we've got a 70% chance of rain today. Of course, that means a lot of you folks out there are gonna be slipping and sliding into an early grave. And dude, the number of times I've seen someone online say something like, I was listening to this podcast and I laughed so hard I almost crashed my car. Even being too happy in a car could cause an accident. And guess what? It's getting worse. The vehicle-related death rate per person in the US is almost the worst that it's been in 15 years. And pedestrian deaths are the highest they've been in decades. And despite all this, some people still want flying cars. Oh, great idea. Yeah, here's what that would look like. And now, because it's such a war zone out there, everyone's buying these giant trucks and SUVs because they don't want to be the loser in the car wars. Because obviously, if someone else is driving a tank, you also need a tank. Car salesman is like, what do I have to do to get you into a car today? How about a ladder? Not only do these monstrosities reduce your visibility of pedestrians, but in the event of a car accident, they're also more likely to kill people driving smaller cars. These things are so big, would you even know if you hit a pedestrian? It would probably just feel like driving over a small bump in the road. Hi, could you check out my car? It's been making a weird noise recently. Oh, what does it sound like? It's kind of like a doom. Gah! I got hit by a car! Splat. It usually happens when I'm texting on my phone. How often do you hear that? A few times a week. And it's not just size. Some car manufacturers go to insane lengths in the name of safety.
Hey mamas, let's talk about the memorable features on the Rezvani Vengeance. You have explosive underbody shielding, bulletproof glass, electrified door handles. If anyone's following you, you have blinding lights in the front and the back, or a smoke screen, plus my favorite, pepper spray.
Why would you need all this? Are there people after you? Or is this just in case a civil war breaks out on the way to your kid's soccer practice?
If you're picking your kids up from the mall, let them know you're there with strobe lights.
Oh yeah, because otherwise your kids might not notice the weapon of mass destruction sitting in the mall parking lot.
Your kids will love that it was styled by a video game designer.
Yeah, you know, considering how glitchy video games have been in recent years, I'm not really comfortable with the idea of a game designer being involved in the creation of a car that's gonna be on the road. Wow, enough trunk space to fit an entire crazy lady. Also, no, I don't know why she's wearing a gas mask. She never explains it. You know, between the gas mask and showing off how you can fit a human body in the trunk, I'm a little terrified.
420 to 810 horsepower.
If the back of this thing had that guitar playing dude from Mad Max, I wouldn't even blink an eye. I feel like a vehicle like this would make you drive less responsibly because it would give you an elevated sense of safety. Who cares if you drive into someone else? You'll be fine. Not only are vehicles getting bigger, but also headlights are getting brighter. Like, are you trying to make other people get into accidents? Hey, if there's fewer drivers on the road, it's safer for me. Man, it's a war zone out there. They're gonna have to start replacing the official DMV handbook with the art of war. Plus, newer cars are installing touch screens instead of physical knobs and buttons so that you can spend more time looking at a screen and less time looking at that annoying road. Also, drunk driving deaths are the highest they've been in almost 20 years. I guess drivers looked at the previous record as a challenge and said, "Don't hold my beer." And the number of road rage shootings has been going up for the last several years because driving transforms us into raving lunatics. Something as simple as a horn honk could completely set a person off, which I kind of get because a car horn is super annoying. I feel like every car should have two types of honks. There should be a neutral honk and an angry honk, where the neutral honk is like it's just a friendly little beep, and then the angry honk is the typical car horn where it's like dang. But then I guess the angry honk might make people even more mad. Did that asshole just angry honk at me? And not to be too much of a downer, but it's not just yourself that you have to worry about. Motor vehicle accidents are one of the leading causes of death. They can happen to anyone you know. Any of your family members, friends, co-workers. I mean, some of you probably have co-workers that you wouldn't mind seeing get flattened by a truck, but you get the point. Now, one of the reasons we're in this hellscape of car dependence is that there's been a lot of pro-car legislation and propaganda pushed by politicians who don't drive cars that much because their primary mode of transportation is riding the meat of the automobile industry. Does it count as mass transit if a whole bunch of politicians are riding the automobile industry's at the same time? Probably the most common pro-car argument is that cars give you freedom, which I don't really understand. You can only go where roads allow you to go. Like, how many high-speed chases have you seen where the criminal actually got away? It's easier to get away on foot because you actually have freedom to go anywhere, and you're also at the mercy of traffic. I have rarely felt less free than when I was stuck in a traffic jam with no way to get out. Even if you decided to say screw it and go a totally different way, you can't do it. You can't turn around. You can't abandon your car. You're stuck. That's not free. It's anti-free. There are people in North Korean labor camps looking at Americans stuck in traffic and going, "Oh man, I'm glad I'm not one of those people." And even if you're in a traffic jam, barely moving, you can't let your mind wander too much because you still have to pay attention to the road. You don't even have freedom of thought. Also, you can only leave your car in the parking lot of a store that you're going into. You want to go to that other store right across the road? Well, you can't walk there. You gotta drive. You are tethered to your car. Plus, in most US cities, the car life is practically forced on you. There are no good alternative modes of transportation. How is it freedom to limit my choices to one mode of transportation? Oh, your car isn't working? Sorry, you don't get to be part of society till it's fixed. Bye. Because first and foremost, everything is spread out. You can walk, but something as basic as a trip to the grocery store could be an hour-long walk instead of a 10-minute drive. And you're lucky if there are sidewalks the whole way because a lot of areas don't have them. Or they do have sidewalks, but they're in a horrible state of disrepair. What are handicapped people supposed to do on a sidewalk like this? Just try to get over it and hope they don't become double handicapped? It's supposed to be a sidewalk, not a sideways. Or sometimes the sidewalk is so narrow that it feels like you're doing a tightrope walk. I mean, look at this. Is this a sarcastic sidewalk? Oh, here's a sidewalk for you with plenty of space to walk and some nice poles right in the middle since there's already so much room. But don't worry, it's all good because they put up a narrow sidewalk sign. As long as there's a sign acknowledging that things suck, then it's fine. Some sidewalks extend up to a point and then they just stop being sidewalks. So you have to walk through the grass and weeds and gravel and mud, getting bitten by insects, sometimes dangerously close to a busy street. By the time you get to the place you're going, you've got poop on your shoes, your pants are covered in mud, and you have Lyme disease. You could bike, but even then it might take 4 times as long as a car trip, and your chances of getting struck by a vehicle are even higher because you're sharing the road with drivers, who, by the way, hate your guts for riding a bike instead of driving a car. In fact, when I was searching TikTok for videos of people biking places, some of them had those safety warnings that say like participating in this activity could result in you or others getting hurt on videos of people just biking to work or school. These car-centric cities just aren't usually designed to be safe or convenient for pedestrians, so you're trapped into car dependency. In a walkable city with mass transit, you have multiple options. You can use a train or a bus or a bike or walk if the place you're going to is within reasonable walking distance, which a lot of places are. It's not just the two extreme options of either drive a car or trek across the land like a filthy pilgrim. It's no wonder there's a freaking loneliness epidemic right now. So many people are physically isolated from each other in these sprawling hellscapes. If there's a place you want to go or a person you want to see, you have to think about whether it's worth the drive to get there. You have to like rank people in your life. Dylan is free to hang out today, but he's a 40-minute drive away. I don't like him that much. He's more like a 20-minute drive kind of friend. Sometimes it's not even a matter of things being spread out. Trips can take extra long because car-centric areas are just inefficiently designed. Some suburbs are so large that it takes several minutes just to get out of the neighborhood. A store that's only a few hundred feet away from your house might take 10 minutes to drive to. And even if you don't die in a car accident or from getting struck by a car, you kind of feel like you're already dead when you drift through these soulless car-centric cities that all basically look like this. It's like strip mall, gas station, strip mall, gas station, some guy just standing by the side of the road for some reason. Like not a homeless person, just some guy making direct eye contact with me, staring into my soul as I drive by. Who are you, dude? It's all the same roads, strip malls, parking lots. My God, the parking lots. Freaking parking lots everywhere. That's how it has to be when a city is designed for cars. A building needs to have a parking lot big enough to accommodate all the cars that might show up. Multiply that by every store, every residential building, every office building, every park, every school, and you end up with these vast swaths of asphalt just taking up space. It's depressing. It took me a long time to even realize how much of a negative impact it was having on my mood just having to live in places like this day in and day out. And here's the kicker. This car-centric design is not necessary, at least not for a lot of cities. Car culture has been forced on us. Places that were previously made up of dense city blocks have been demolished and replaced with these sprawling nightmares. The problem was invented, and then we were sold cars as a solution. I grew up and spent most of my life in very car-dependent places, so until fairly recently, I never thought much about it. I guess I assumed cars were a necessary solution to an unavoidable problem, that everything just had to be spread out, but I have since seen the light. I'm not here just to complain about how much things suck. I come bearing a message of hope. It doesn't have to be like this. Imagine if going shopping didn't look like this, but looked like this. Imagine if your work commute didn't look like this, but looked like this, where instead of having to pay constant attention to the road and dealing with 100 frustrating things on your drive, you could use your phone as much as you wanted, watch a movie, read a book, or tell yourself you're gonna read a book and then take a nap instead. That lifestyle is possible to achieve. I'm living it. A couple years ago, I sold my car and moved to a people-centric city for the first time in my life because the car life was so goddamn annoying, I just couldn't take it anymore. And no exaggeration, moving to a city where it's easy to be car-free has been the single biggest enhancement to my quality of life ever. I have, within a 10-minute walk of my apartment, a grocery store, a department store, a pharmacy, a doctor's office, a gym, a park, 20 restaurants, 5 coffee shops, 3 bars, and a psychic. I mean, I don't plan on ever going to a psychic, but who knows? Well, I guess they would know if they're actually psychic. My trip to the grocery store looks like this. I get to be outside. I get physical exercise and sunshine. There are birds chirping. I say hello to my neighbors and pet a dog, or say hello to a dog and pet my neighbors. And when I need to hop on a bus or a train, I use my phone. I read, I watch YouTube videos, I think about stuff, and I look out the window at all the sad sacks stuck in their cars, and I moon them. I pull my pants down and I moon them. I'm talking full cheeks on glass. No, I don't do that, but I do look out at drivers sometimes and think about how so nice it is that I don't have to do that anymore. Fortunately, there are already a few places in the US where you can live car-free, but also cities can be made less car-centric and more walkable. In many cities in the US and around the world, there have been initiatives to make areas more pedestrian-friendly. Some places have transformed blocks of road or highway into walkable areas, and residents love them.
Cars have been banned on this stretch between West Santa Clara Street and St. John. Keeping cars out has been good for business. Neighbors say the road closure brought them together.
This brand new rental community in Tempe has all the amenities, but something's missing.
There are no cars in this community at all.
Isn't it great?
The demand is strong. Social spaces around every corner. Juan Ramos says living car-free has opened his eyes.
For most of the apartments I've lived in for years, I've never even talked to my neighbors. I know people, like, that's Pete over there, that's Ben over there, and I'm like, that's the first time I've said that.
And by the way, it doesn't have to be like 0 cars. There are mixed-use solutions where traffic can still flow through a city, but in a way that's more pedestrian-friendly and allows for other modes of transportation. Barcelona, for example, has something called super blocks, where several blocks of a city are sectioned off for pedestrians, with through traffic being relegated to the outer perimeter. And you know what? Walkable areas are popular. People want them. Plus, young people are becoming less and less interested in having a car.
Only a quarter of 16-year-olds have their driver's licenses, about half as many as in the mid-90s.
Now, obviously, the car-free lifestyle doesn't fit every situation. Cars have their uses. People that want to live in more remote areas need cars, and some people want the suburban lifestyle with the house and the big lawn, and they're willing to put up with all the inconveniences that come with that. But it just sucks that so many people have to endure the car lifestyle when they really would rather not. Guys, if you want to see me rant about something else, check out this video I made, and be sure to hit that On the road road, any of us can die because of someone else's mistake or stupidity. Oops, someone was feeling extra religious today and decided to let Jesus take the wheel. Now your wife's dead.